Should nonprofits use AI? AI is a new and growing area, and should nonprofits get into it? Should we stay away from it? What are some of the ethical and moral issues that we need to conquer? So let's get into this today. Hey guys, welcome back to the Nonprofit Missionary Podcast. My name is Ken McQuiller. I'm here to help you to become true missionaries to your community by establishing faith-based nonprofits, securing funding so that you can focus on long-term outreach and mission. So, back in October, I did a podcast episode about whether or not churches should use AI. So today, we are diving deep into the nonprofit world, since those are kind of the two audiences we're reaching people that are in churches as well as people that are in nonprofits. So, I wanted to go over today kind of, once again, what is AI? I want to give kind of a good definition of that, and then get into some of the ethical issues with AI, as well as some of the myths regarding AI. So, yeah, I think it's just important, especially, I feel like even, it's July 1st as I'm recording this. October wasn't that far away, but I feel like AI has changed so much in terms of not just availability, but in usage, that I think it's important to kind of just readdress it and ask, is it a good idea? This is actually going to be a two-part series here on AI for nonprofits. Today I'm just talking about kind of the foundational stuff, and then next episode we're going to talk a little bit more about what are some of the practicalities of it. How can we implement AI in our nonprofit? What does that look like? So, to answer the question of whether or not nonprofits should use AI, I'm going to say yes with boundaries. And I'll kind of get into some of those boundaries over the next couple of episodes here. But I think it's important to say yes, you should look into it. I am currently reading a book that talks a lot about how nonprofits can use AI more effectively. It's called Nonprofit AI. I'll try to get the little picture here if possible. And basically, the thesis of this book is that you should definitely use AI as a nonprofit, because the way that AI is growing is going to become almost integral in 5 to 10 years. So if you're not using it now, you're already putting yourself behind the power curve. And whether or not you agree with that thesis, I'm just kind of reading what the book believes. And I think that there is some valid stuff to that, because I feel like AI can really change how nonprofits function. Especially when you're looking at trying to simplify your workflow, when you're looking at trying to reduce all of the responsibilities that could be on staff. So, before we get into the ethical issues and some of the myths, let's talk about what is AI, because I feel like so many people are very confused by it. People think AI and immediately they think of Skynet. Immediately they think of iRobot. Immediately they think of these different places. And you know what? AI has actually been around for a long time. Since 1950, actually. There was a guy at some kind of fair or gathering of smart people that they actually first coined the term artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence, by the simplest definition, is any type of tool that mimics a human. Any type of computer that tries to do something that a human does. Some examples of AI, because like when you think of AI in 2025, your mind usually goes to something like ChatGPT or Gemini. I'm sure you've probably seen those Gemini commercials, as I have. But you know what else is AI? This. If I did it right, you heard the sound of Siri. Or if you have that little Amazon Alexa, I don't want to set it off for you. Or if you have a Google Home. Those are all artificial intelligence. I've had a lot of fun over the years asking Siri crazy things. Try asking her what 0 divided by 0 is. I don't know if she'll still do it, but she will roast you, potentially. Or what does the fox say? Fun stuff like that. But that is artificial intelligence. For my friends that grew up with AOL Instant Messenger, smarter child, pretty much like artificial intelligence. And I feel like when we look at it from that perspective, it's a little less scary, because I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, AI is going to take over the world. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in some of the myths and some of the ethical issues. But I think it's important to just lay the foundation. AI is simply a computer trying to do something that a human would. Now, obviously, there's a lot of ethical issues just in that statement alone, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But I wanted to talk about 3 different ethical dilemmas concerning AI. Number 1, I think something that people need to navigate is, how are you using it? What are you using artificial intelligence for? Because as an organization, you need to kind of have the structure and the policies in place of what you're doing it for. Now, what do I mean by that? There's a lot of different things that you can do in terms of AI. Last time I talked about AI girlfriends, and that's still a real thing, and it's kind of a crazy thing. I actually saw an article where a guy proposed to his AI girlfriend, and he's also married with kids. I saw also a video, Gary Vaynerchuk, where he was saying that our grandkids will be marrying AI robots that look like humans. And while he has been crazy right about stuff, like he called TikTok way before it was a thing, he is accurate with a lot of things and also inaccurate with a lot of things. I think there is a little bit of truth into it. It's very possible that it could become a bigger thing. And I think especially like the AI girlfriend thing, when you're looking at a faith-based nonprofit, if you're looking from a church perspective, it's important to navigate what that's going to look like. Are you going to allow your pastors to have that? I think just in general, as an ethical issue, is it considered cheating? I would say yes, but I think it's something that people will need to navigate. What is okay? What is considered over the line? Because like you can get very inappropriate with it. I've seen videos and read articles about it where people do get kind of crazy with it. And yeah, it just has to be something that's navigated. Because if you look at it, there is, when you think about it from this perspective, the allure makes sense. Because you can create someone that is completely flawless for you. And obviously, like, that doesn't exist in the real world because we're all flawed human beings and we're gonna mess up. But it is important to navigate. It's just something I think you need to have a policy set up for. You have to kind of create your, for lack of a better word, theology on it. What do you believe is okay? What do you believe is not okay? And it also has to be outlined. Because you can use AI for a lot of good things, but you can also use it for a lot of bad things. Such as, you can design AI to be rude to people. Sometimes one of my fun pastimes is trolling spam callers. So one time I asked ChatGPT, give me ways to troll spam callers. And it gave me a few really funny ones, such as acting like I'm hard of hearing or continuing to repeat. I did use a couple of them and they worked well. But I think it's just important that you have to have that sense of what is okay, what is not okay when it comes to usage, especially if you're using it from the nonprofit perspective or from the church perspective. You have to make sure that it's being used for positive things, that it's being used in an appropriate manner. You don't want people to start using AI as their own personal confidant. One of the biggest uses of AI in 2025 is counseling. If someone truly needs therapy, they shouldn't be going to ChatGPT, they should be going to an actual therapist. If someone is dealing with a lot of emotional issues, like, yes, use ChatGPT for an answer, but also you should probably talk to someone that's also clinically trained. And it's things like that that I think need to be addressed, where you are outlining what is okay to use and what is not okay to use AI for. So that is one of the big ethical dilemmas, is how you're using it. What is it going to be allowed to be used for? Are you allowing your staff to have AI boyfriends and girlfriends? Like, it sounds kind of silly, but people do it. And I'm sure as it becomes more popular and as it becomes easier to figure out how to do, more people will do it. Because like I said, there is the allure of, like, you can create someone that is perfect for you. There are people that design boyfriends and girlfriends to look like their favorite video game character or character from a movie. You can do it. The book, this nonprofit AI book, says that the only limit to AI is your imagination. So, like, if you can think about it, you could probably have AI help create it for you. So you have to figure out what's okay to use it, what's not okay to use it for. The next big thing, and especially I think from a nonprofit perspective, this is important, is how you're using the data that you have. Because any nonprofit usually has two sets of very sensitive data. They have the data of the donors that are giving to their organization, because obviously, like, you're tracking how much they give. You have their address, their email, their phone number, their name attached to that, sometimes their occupation, as well as, depending on what kind of nonprofit you have, you might have very sensitive information regarding your client. Like if you're working with children and you have them fill out applications and things like that, that is very sensitive data. Or if you're working from a mental health perspective, or in medicine, you're dealing with people's health. You're dealing with a lot of sensitive health data. So when you're dealing and navigating through that, it's important to recognize that you want to keep that data protected. And how you use AI is going to be critical in how you are protecting people's data. And it is an ethical issue that you kind of need to navigate. You have to figure out what is okay, and if this information gets out, is it going to be bad or good? Because sometimes, depending on where you're sending this data to, it could go to somewhere that you have no idea about. And if a data leak happens in the wrong spot, do you want your people's information to be compromised? Absolutely not. So it's important to kind of keep people's data in check. And it's important to kind of navigate. If I'm going to use AI, what does that look like? So that is a big one as well. The last one is with bias. If you use AI enough and you keep using kind of the same type of information and you're using the same tool, sometimes the good and the bad with that is it learns your information well. Like if you're using ChatGPT and you're like, this is my after-school program in Cleveland, Ohio. This is the name of it. This is what we do. As you continue to ask ChatGPT some of that stuff, it'll automatically populate it and it'll make it easier. But also it might skew some of the data if you're doing research. That's why still to this day, I would say be very careful in how you're doing research in generative AI type of tools, because sometimes the data can be, number one, biased, but also it could be, number two, inaccurate. Just kind of trying something, I created a testimonial yesterday and I sent it a YouTube video of one of our former students giving a testimony. And I said, please use this in it. And it didn't. It just made up a name, it made up a quote. So you just gotta be careful. You don't want bias to kind of creep in. You don't want things that shouldn't be there to affect how you're doing your AI stuff. So I think kind of with everything, like if you're looking, the big three ethical issues, how you use it, how you're using the information, and how you're continuing to make sure that bias doesn't happen so you can have a very effective program. With all of those, you have to monitor it. And it's not just something that you can just say, set it, forget it, I never have to worry about it again. You have to continually go over it. You have to still review things that are created through AI. You should be testing it pretty regularly. And I think when you do that, you're protecting yourself, you're protecting your organization, and you're protecting those that you're serving. Not just your clients, but also your donors. So just kind of keep those things in mind. So those are some ethical issues. I want to talk about a few myths, because there's a lot of questions, a lot of concerns about AI. The biggest myth that I see, though, in my opinion, is that AI will steal people's jobs. And I don't think that's the case. Yes, AI is doing the tasks that some other people would do. I get that. But you can make that argument about a lot of different things. What about when the assembly line was created? It took away jobs, but it also enhanced people's jobs because it made things go a lot quicker. You could make the argument that the internet took away jobs, but it made people's lives much more efficient, especially once the pandemic hit. So considering all of that, I don't think AI will actually take people's jobs. I think it, if used properly, will enhance people's jobs, especially in the nonprofit world. I read a stat in this book that said 75% of nonprofit employees are looking to leave their position within a year, with a majority of those people not wanting to go back into the nonprofit field. And I know exactly why. I've worked in the nonprofit world for 9 years, and I know that our experience is not dissimilar. When you work at a nonprofit, what drives you isn't the money, it's the cause that you are trying to help serve. If you are passionate about helping see children succeed, that's what gets you going. If you're working at a nonprofit for cancer research, it's usually because someone in your family had cancer and you're trying to help find a cure because you don't want other people to deal with what you had to deal with. If you are working in a nonprofit that was experiencing homelessness, there's something about your heart that broke for those that are homeless. It's not the money, and it's not the responsibilities, because most nonprofit people are underpaid and overworked. Most people that are working, especially if you are in some type of leadership position, you are probably doing more than one position. You're not just fundraising, you're grant writing, you're doing all of the communication, you're doing all the social media, and also probably you're help running a program. You might be a program director, but you're also probably an administrator. You're probably also a community relations director. You're probably the board liaison. And if you're an executive director, forget it, you're doing a whole bunch of different things. I think of it's a flyer from Sean Kostofsky, I believe it is, that talks about the different hats that a nonprofit leader holds. And he mentions 10 of them, between fundraising, HR, diversity, equity, and inclusion, board development, all of these different things, including programming. There are so many different things that are important and critical for a nonprofit leader. And yeah, AI, I think, can enhance that. If you are in charge of doing all of the administrative tasks and also working programming, you can have AI tools that can help you cut that administrative task in like a quarter. If you're doing social media and also doing fundraising, you can knock out a lot of the social media stuff with AI tools. You can knock out a lot of the fundraising administrative tasks with AI tools. So instead of having to manually follow up with people, the AI tools will just do it for you. And I think this is where having those AI tools can really help and can really streamline what you do and can really streamline your operations. So I think with myself, I do a lot of different things. I am a grant writer. I run a nonprofit. I'm a pastor. Also a dad and a husband. and also assistant presbyter for our area. There's a lot of different hats that I wear. And I feel like I'm just on the start of really getting AI tools to help work for me. So then some of the stuff that takes up a couple of days will take up half of that time. And also do it better than what I was doing it anyway. So I just want you to consider that it's not that AI is taking my job. AI is making my job more effective and efficient. So instead of worrying about how I'm organizing paperwork, I can focus more on building relationships with the people that I'm serving. Instead of worrying about whether or not my sermon flows properly, I can use an AI tool to help flesh together the sermon that I already have and make it sound good. So then, instead of taking the time to look up different words that mean the same thing and searching all the thesauruses in the world, use an AI tool to kind of make it work for me. So with all that said, I don't think it'll take jobs. I think it'll help make your job easier, especially in the nonprofit world. Myth number 2. AI is just too hard to learn. I get that, and I totally can understand, especially if you're a little bit hesitant about technology in general. But a lot of the AI tools, they come with tutorials, they come with videos, and also you can use AI tools to help you figure out how to use the AI tools. I asked ChatGPT how to do this, and it comes with a step-by-step instruction. And if I wanted to, I could get it in a picture-by-picture screenshot file. So I understand that sometimes it may seem very intimidating. Learning anything new is going to be intimidating. But you know, every professional was one time an amateur. The great LeBron James at one point had to learn how to play basketball. Aaron Judge had to learn how to hit a baseball. Patrick Mahomes had to learn how to throw the perfect spiral. And yet, sometimes we're hesitant to use something that could be beneficial because we're like, oh, I don't think I can do it. I want to just encourage you, take a day. Take a day to just learn it. See if you can figure it out. Ask for help. If you know of another nonprofit that is using AI, ask them how they did it, how they learned, how they implemented it. And I can tell you this, if you can do that, it might help in so many different ways. It's not that you can't figure it out, it's that you're not taking the time. Just take a few hours. Do some research. Make it happen. Last myth is that AI is unreliable. And this is a soft myth bust because I think if you use it improperly, yes, it can be unreliable. AI is only as reliable as the data that you give it. I'd mentioned before the story of trying to send a video. But after I saw that, I corrected it, gave a name, and then boom, it worked. So I think you just have to recognize that it's not necessarily the AI tool, it's the data that's being provided. And it goes back to, you can't just let it do its thing and then send it off. You have to make sure that you're double checking the work, that you're reviewing it, that you're making sure that what it's saying is accurate. Because I've used AI tools for grant writing. It has really helped me be able to scale up my grant writing, helped to be more effective so that I can focus less on the actual writing itself and more on the bigger picture of whether or not this is a good fit for the organization. And it's really, really helped. But also I had to be careful on how I implemented it because sometimes the data would act funky. It would provide weird stuff. So just be careful on how you're using it. AI is only as reliable as the data that's being provided. So just keep that in mind. So as we close out part 1, I just want to say this. I'm not saying that AI is going to take over the world. I don't even know how effective AI will be in 5-10 years. But what I do know is that we are at an opportunity to at least give it a shot. What if by just giving it a shot, you feel like that you can actually take a rest and that you're not working until 9 o'clock at night every night, working on fundraising, program management, HR concerns, operations, and that it's all streamlined for you? Just consider it. I'll repeat this quote from the book. The only limit to AI is your imagination. Just give it a shot. Next week, we'll go into how that looks and some of the more logistics. But I want to take it into a Confessions of a Missionary. It's a little less missionary focused, but on my TikTok feed, it's actually an old post from I think last year. I'd put a post that said, that was basically saying, I don't get why people are asking grant writers to do work for free. I did a whole video on it, so I'm not going to get that into the nitty-gritty detail. But someone had replied, and this was sometime last week. And the lady was like, yeah, well, that's why we're a nonprofit, and yet you grant writers charge so much. And we're just trying to get by, and you can't even guarantee money. No, grant writers can never guarantee money. And if you could do the grant yourself, then you don't have to pay anyone. Grant writing is a very specialized field, and I think something that kind of continues to get annoying to me, because I get it a lot with churches when they find out that I'm a grant writer. They're like, oh, well, can we get a grant for that building? I know there's money out there and you can figure it out. I can write a perfect grant, but because you're a church, I don't get the funding. Actually, recently I did that. The grant, they were like, oh yeah, we see how we're such a great fit, but you guys are faith-based, so we can't give it to you. So a lot of that's out of the grant writer's control. And also, they're doing work. We're doing work. And yet you want it still for free, only if you get money too. We're doing work to not only help you get focused on your programming and everything like that, but then you want us to just do it for free. Which, if a grant writer wants to do it for free, fine. It just has to be agreed upon upfront. It can't be like a commission-based thing. First of all, it's unethical, like I talked about in the video. But secondly, it goes back to the worker is worthy of their wages. I think something that still is an issue in the nonprofit field is the expectation of, because this is an important cause, we need to do it for free. And yes, there's a time and a place for that, and I'm not saying don't be generous, and I'm not saying any of that. But what I am saying is the expectation of someone to do it for free when they're expecting to get paid is wrong. I think it's important to say, yes, I know what I'm worth, and if you truly are looking for this and I know it'll be valuable to you, you'll pay for it. And if you don't, you're not my client. Bottom line. So, yeah, I don't know, that's really been on my mind recently, because she replied back, and I then sent her back kind of some of the reasons. And she was like, well, yeah, you still can't guarantee money. No, grants aren't just free money. Grants are typically somewhat competitive. And also, there's just so many other things that go into the grant writing process. It's not just filling out an application. It's getting to know your organization, your programming, so then you can create an effective application. And all that takes time. And even if you don't get funded, that information is valuable. So look, please don't go up to a grant writer and say, I'm willing to do it if you're going to do it for free. It's not worth it. It's not fair to the grant writer. And especially for some people that they really are passionate about your cause and they want to help you, it puts them in a very awkward spot. Because the thing is, we don't do that for other consultants. If you were to hire a marketing consultant, you would be like, hey, can you do it for free? But also they can't guarantee anything either. They can create a bomb website, but because you don't have it set up properly, it doesn't matter. They can have all of the correct messaging and give you the best flyer possible, but if you're not getting it into the hands of the right people, it's not going to make a difference. If you were to hire a consultant for a strategic plan, they can create an awesome strategic plan, but you still have to execute it. So it goes back to a saying that I'm going to get more into in our next Confessions of a Missionary, or a future one. Actually, it doesn't fit in there. We'll wait for next time. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe. Yeah, we love you, we appreciate you, and we'll talk to you next time. God bless.